Good morning everyone. This is Raghu, Assistant Professor of Biotechnology from SR and BGNR Government College, Khammam. So today's topics are classification of lipids and beta oxidation of fatty acids. So while coming into the classification, Bloor, a scientist, classified lipids into three major groups. They are simple lipids, compound lipids, and derived lipids. Before going into the classification in detail, we will see the important property of lipids. Presence of ester linkages is the important property of lipids. An ester is formed between an alcohol and an acid group. If you remove a water molecule between an acid and an alcohol, then you will get the ester linkages. So presence of these ester linkages is the characteristic feature of the lipids. So in carbohydrates, it is glycosidic linkage. In proteins, it is peptide bond. And in lipids, it is ester linkage. So that is the characteristic feature of different biomolecules and the type of linkages present in the biomolecules. So the first one, simple lipids. As I mentioned, an ester linkage is formed between an acid and an alcohol group. So these are esters of fatty acids, and these simple lipids again classified into fats and waxes. So here there will be an alcoholic group and an acid group containing fatty acids. There will be a removal of water molecule. So here in fats, the alcoholic group containing compound will be the glycerol. It is a trihydroxy alcohol. Trihydroxy alcohol. In waxes, it is a long chain alcohol. So in both of them, there will be fatty acid linkages. So here is the structure of waxes. There will be a long chain fatty acid and a long chain alcohol. So in bee wax, you can clearly see palmitic acid is the fatty acid portion. Myricillic alcohol portion is the alcoholic portion. So myricil palmitate is the wax which is present in bee wax. So that is the chemical composition, palmitate and myricil alcohol. So myricil palmitate. If it is in spermaceti oil, it is palmitic acid, the fatty acid portion, and cetyl alcohol will be the alcoholic portion. So cetyl palmitate, myricil palmitate in bee wax and cetyl palmitate in spermaceti oil are the best examples of waxes. So waxes are made up of long chain fatty acids and long chain alcohol. So that is about waxes. So the next one is fats and oils. As I mentioned, they contain trihydroxy alcohol glycerol. To the glycerol, three fatty acids will be attached. You can clearly see the trihydroxy alcohol there on the top, left top, to which three fatty acids are attached: palmitate, oleic acid, linolenic acid. Linolenic or linoleic acid. Anyone can be attached. So these are the three different fatty acids attached to trihydroxy alcohol glycerol. So these are called as fatty acids. So the major difference between the fats and oils is fats are solids at room temperature, whereas oils are liquids at room temperature. Both of them contain triglycerols or triacyl glycerols, which is shown in the figure. But the only difference is the fatty acids that are attached to this glycerol, if they are saturated, then it will come under fats. If they are unsaturated, then it will come under oils. So why fats are solids at room temperature? Because even at room temperature, the saturated fatty acids will solidify easily. whereas the unsaturated fatty acids require even, that means even at low temperatures they does not be solidified. That is why fats are solid at room temperature, because they contain more saturated fatty acids, whereas oils, they are liquids at room temperature because they contain more unsaturated fatty acids. So that is the difference between fats and oils. So this is triglycerol or triacyl glycerol. So glycerol, there will be three fatty acids. So the three fatty acids may be same or maybe of different fatty acids like oleic, stearic, linolenic, linoleic, etc. So this is triglycerols. When the triglycerols are subjected to saponification, you'll get soaps. You'll get soaps. So that means triacyl glycerol is treated with either sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide. Then you'll get glycerol plus sodium salt of fatty acids. So the sodium salt of fatty acid is called as soaps. If you use potassium hydroxide, then you will get potassium hydroxide, potassium derived fatty acids. Potassium derived fatty acids. So potassium derived fatty acids are called as soft soaps. Sodium derived fatty acids are called as hard soaps. So sodium derived fatty acids are used as detergents and potassium derived fatty acids are used for bath soaps. So the sodium salt of fatty acids and potassium salts of fatty acids, they have the ability to dissolve both in fat as well as water. The sodium part will be dissolving in water and the fatty acid part will be dissolving in the solvent. That means grease or any oily substances that is present, it will be removed by these soaps. So since they have the two dissolving abilities both in fat as well as in the water, so that is saponification of triglycerols. So that is simple lipids, waxes which contain fatty acid plus long chain alcohols, and fats and oils which contains triglycerols, and based on unsaturation it is divided into fat and oil. And how soaps are obtained from this triacyl glycerols or fats. So the next one is compound lipids. A part of the lipid component, they contain non-lipid portion. The best example of compound lipids are phospholipids, glycolipids, galactolipids or sulfolipids, and lipoproteins. So the first one is phospholipids. Why the name became phospholipids means they contain phosphoric acid residue. Hence they are called as phospholipids. The main alcohol that is present in phospholipids is glycerol, trihydroxy alcohol, to which two fatty acids are attached at first and second position. You can see the structure on the top left. R1 and R2 are the two fatty acids that are attached to the glycerol. To the third carbon atom, a phosphoric group is attached and the next group is present. This X is as follows. If X is CH2CH2N CH3 thrice, then the structure is called as phosphatidylcholine, also called as lecithin. CH2CH2N CH3 thrice, then it is called as phosphatidylcholine or lecithin. If it contains CH2CH2NS3, then it is called as phosphatidylethanolamine, also called as cephalin. Phosphatidylethanolamine. If a serine amino acid is present, then it is called as phosphatidylserine. Inositol group is present, then it is called as phosphatidylinositol. And a phosphatidylglycerol That means another glycerol is present, then it is called as phosphatidyl glycerol. So these are the different phospholipids. The basic structure will be shown on the top, but the variation is only on the X that is attached to the phosphoric acid residue at the third carbon atom. Based on that, these are the differences. So what is the function of the phospholipids? The phospholipids are majorly, they are membrane lipids. They are abundantly present in the plasma membrane. You can see the plasma membrane structure, it will be having a polar head and a non-polar tail. Polar head and a non-polar tail. So that means hydrophilic head and a hydrophobic tails. So the hydrophilic head is made up of glycerol plus phosphate. Glycerol plus phosphate. The hydrophobic tails are the fatty acids present on the carbon atom number 1 and number 2, which we have seen in the last slide. Here, carbon atom R1 and R2. So these are the fatty acids. So they are hydrophobic tails, and the hydrophilic part is glycerol and phosphate group. So that is how phospholipids are present on the plasma membrane. So we have seen in the last class the fluid mosaic model proposed by Singer and Nicholson. So those fluid mosaic model, lipid bilayer is made up of these phospholipids. When you see the functions of phospholipids, as I mentioned, they are the major components of cell membranes and also cell organelle membranes. And these phospholipids play an important role in lipid absorption and transportation in intestine, and also in blood coagulation. And these are also needed for electron transport chain. And if you see choline, acetylcholine will act as neurotransmitter, and choline will act as lipotropic agent also. That means lipid soluble agent. And this phospholipids acts as a source of arachidonic acid. If you see phosphatidyl inositol, it plays an important role as a second messenger during cell signaling process across the cell membrane in animal cells. So in animal cells, the cell signaling process needs second messengers. The phosphatidyl inositol play an important role, which acts as second messenger in cell signaling. And also the phospholipids act as a cofactor for lipoprotein lipases, so which play an important role in the cleavage of lipases. Also they will surround the myelin sheet which is present around the nerve fibers. And lecithin, especially dipalmityl lecithin, act as a surfactant. So these are the functions of phospholipids. And another phospholipid, it is also called as diglycerol phospholipid. You can clearly see 2 glycerols, 4 fatty acids which are linked with 2 phosphates and its central structure, that is also a glycerol. So 3 glycerols, 2 phosphoric acids, 4 fatty acid structure. So this is called as cardiolipin. This is called as cardiolipin. It is a double phospholipid which is shown in the previous slide, double phospholipid. So the function of cardiolipin is it stabilizes the complex 3 and complex 4 in mitochondrial electron transport chain, which we have seen in the previous classes. So that means it is abundantly present in the inner mitochondrial membrane and plays an important role in the electron transport chain by stabilizing the complexes, complex 3 and complex 4, and also play an important role in the synthesis of ATP during the process of oxidative phosphorylation, and also play an important role in the synthesis of iron sulfur proteins, which play an important role in the hydrogen and electrons transport in electron transport chain. And another important function is during apoptosis, it is also called as programmed cell death. And during this process, cytochrome C is released from mitochondria into the cytosol and initiate the process of apoptosis. And cardiolipin is seen implicated in induction of apoptosis. That means it play an important role in the release of cytochrome C from mitochondria to cytosol and initiate the process of apoptosis. So that is the function of cardiolipin, which is a double phospholipid present in the inner mitochondrial membrane and plays an important role in electron transport chain, oxidative phosphorylation and apoptosis process. So that is about phospholipids. So next one is sphingolipids. Sphingolipids. So generally, sphingolipids are abundantly seen in nerve cells. They are abundantly seen in nerve cells. They are also called as sphingomyelin lipids. Sphingolipids or sphingomyelin lipid. They contain 18 carbon unsaturated amino alcohol. They contain 18 carbon unsaturated amino alcohol. That means glycerol is absent here. There won't be any glycerol here. Instead of glycerol, a monohydric unsaturated 18 carbon chain containing sphingosine is present. So you can see the 18 carbon chain containing sphingosine, to which fatty acid and choline is added. So if it is serine, it is called as sphingosine. So if it is ethanolamine, sphingoethanolamine. So like this, sphingolipids are present in nerve cells. They contain sphingosine instead of glycerol. So sphingosine, fatty acid plus phosphoric acid plus any of the ethanolamine, choline, serine, etc. So those are sphingolipids. So next one is ether lipids, plasminogens. Till now you have seen the ester linkage. Now you can see an ether linkage. Ester linkage be RCOOR is called as ester linkage. That is between fatty acid and alcohol. In ether linkage you will find ROR linkage. ROR linkage. So plasminogens are best example for ether linkages or ether lipids. Since at carbon atom number 1 they contain an ether linkage ROR. So these are plasminogens. They are abundantly present in brain and muscle tissues. So those are plasminogens. So those are phospholipids, sphingolipids and plasminogens, which will come under phospholipids. So next one is glycolipids. Here also you won't find glycerol. The alcohol is sphingosine. And since they contain carbohydrate, they are called as glycosphingolipids or glycolipids. So glycosphingolipids. So they contain sphingosine, hence they are called as sphingolipids. They contain carbohydrate portion, hence they are called as glycosphingolipids. You can clearly see this their structure. Sphingosine, fatty acid is present, and carbohydrate structure. That means galactose is present. So best example of glycolipids are cerebrosides and gangliosides. Cerebrosides and gangliosides. If you see the structure of cerebrosides, they contain sphingosine, fatty acid, galactose or glucose sometimes. If it is galactose, it is called as galactocerebroside. If it is glucose, it is called as glucocerebroside. So that is cerebrosides. They are abundantly present in white matter of brain. So in brain there are two types of matters, white matter and grey matter. Grey matter contains gangliosides and white matter contains cerebrosides. So this is the structure of cerebroside. So and this is the function and structure of cerebroside. They are abundantly present in brain and myelin sheath. They are important for cellular reorganization and tissue immunity. And the structure galactose, fatty acid plus sphingosine. So that is cerebroside. So next one is gangliosides. Gangliosides, a part of sphingosine carbohydrate, they contain an important structure called as N-acetyl neuramic acid. N-acetyl neuramic acid. N-acetyl neuramic acid, also called as sialic acids. So these gangliosides are present in gray matter of brain. There are three different types of gangliosides: GM1, GM2, GM3. The difference is based on the structure. So you have the basic alcohol is sphingosine. You can clearly see there on the right side down a sheet-like structure with carbon double bond, that is the sphingosine. To that, D-glucose and galactose is attached. Then a N-acetyl neuramic acid, sialic acid is attached. So up to this portion only it is called as GM3 ganglioside. If an N-acetyl D galactosamine is added, then it is called GM2 ganglioside. If another galactose is added, then it is called as GM1 ganglioside. So the entire structure seen here is GM1. If you remove galactose, then it will become GM2. If you remove galactose and N-acetyl D-glucosamine, then you will get GM3 gangliosides. They play an important role in transmission of nerve impulse in ganglions in gray matter of brain. So that is cerebrosides and gangliosides, also called as glycosphingolipids. So next one is galacto or sulfolipids. So these kind of lipids are present only in the plants. They are abundantly present in the thylakoid membranes. So we have seen the chloroplast structure and thylakoids in chloroplast. They are abundantly present in the chloroplast, especially on thylakoid membranes. And they are called as most abundant membrane lipids in biosphere. So these are abundantly present. Since plants are more on earth, so these galacto or sulfolipids are also abundantly present along with these plants. You can clearly see the galacto or sulfolipid structure at the bottom. Monoglycerol, monogalactosyl diacylglycerol, digalactosyl diacylglycerol, and if you add a sulfate group, then it will be sulfo MgDG and sulfo DGDG. So in structure you will find a galactose attached to third carbon atom of glycerol and two fatty acids are present. So that is called as monogalactosyl diacylglycerol. If two galactoses are present like this here, then it is called as digalactosyl diacylglycerol. If a sulfate group is present to the galactose, then it will become a sulfolipid. So this MgDG, DGDG and sulfolipid, they are only present in the plant cell membranes, especially in thylakoid membranes, and they are the most abundant membrane lipids in the biosphere. So that is about galacto or sulfolipids. So next one is lipoproteins. So these are another type of compound lipids. In the previous compound lipids, you have seen phospholipids, which contain phosphate as non-lipid portion, and glyco or sulfolipids, galactolipids, which contain carbohydrate as non-lipid portion. Here lipoproteins, proteins will be the non-lipid portion. So best example of lipoproteins are chylomicrons. CM means chylomicrons. Very low density lipoproteins, VLDL, low density lipoproteins, LDL, and high density lipoproteins, HDL. The density of the lipid increases with increase in the protein component. So if you see the functions of these phospholipids, chylomicrons, they originate from enterocytes. They play an important role in exogenous triglycerols transport from gastrointestinal tract to peripheral tissues. So triacyl glycerols, after lipid digestion and absorption, they are transported to peripheral tissues with the help of chylomicrons. And from peripheral tissues, they will be transported to liver. So from liver to peripheral tissues, it will be transported by VLDL, very low density lipoproteins. So they originate from liver, you can clearly see their function. Endogenous triglycerols. So after absorption, the triglycerols are transported by chylomicrons into peripheral tissues. From peripheral tissues, it will become to liver. From liver, VLDL will transport to peripheral tissues. So that is the function of VLDL. And cholesterol, from liver to peripheral tissues, it is carried by LDL, low density lipoproteins. They originate in plasma of blood and they play an important role in cholesterol esters transfer to peripheral tissues. So if these levels of LDL is more, it is dangerous because it will transport the cholesterol esters to peripheral tissues from liver. Hence it is called as bad cholesterol. HDL is called as good cholesterol. It will originate from liver. It will transport cholesterol from tissues to liver for degradation. Hence it is called as good cholesterol. So cholesterol from various tissues will come to liver and it will be degraded. So that is the function of HDL. So these are lipoproteins and their function. So next one is derived lipids. As I mentioned, obtained by hydrolysis of simple and compound lipids. So if you subject simple and compound lipids to hydrolysis, then you will get derived lipids. One of such important derived lipids are fatty acids, saturated fatty acids and unsaturated fatty acids. So unsaturated fatty acids again divided into monounsaturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So fatty acids, saturated fatty acids, best example is palmitic acid, mistric acid, stearic acid. So mistric acid, it contains 14 carbon atom. There won't be any double bond in the structure since it is a saturated fatty acid. And palmitic acid, it contains 16 carbon atom. There won't be any double bond. Stearic acid, it contains 18 carbon atoms without any double bond. Those are called as saturated fatty acids. And unsaturated fatty acids, monounsaturated fatty acids, palmitoic acid, it is a 16 carbon containing fatty acid with one double bond. Oleic acid, it is an 18 carbon containing fatty acid with one double bond. And polyunsaturated fatty acids, they contain more than one double bond. Best example, linoleic acid, linolenic acid, and under linolenic acid, it is of two types, alpha linolenic acid and gamma linolenic acid, and then arachidonic acid. So linoleic acid contains 18 carbons. Linolenic acid, alpha and gamma, it contains also 18 carbon atoms. Arachidonic acid contains 20 carbon atoms. And the number of double bonds will be linoleic acid 2, linolenic acid 3, and arachidonic acid will be 4. This linoleic, linolenic, and arachidonic acid are called as essential fatty acids. These essential fatty acids has to be supplied through diet. They are not synthesized in the human body. And these polyunsaturated fatty acids best source is plant oils. So only plants can synthesize more amount of unsaturated fatty acids. Animal fatty acids are saturated fatty acids. That's why animal fats are solids at room temperature, whereas plant fats are liquids at room temperature because they contain more unsaturated fatty acids. Hence, plant fats are liquids at room temperature. So these are saturated and polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fatty acids, which come under derived lipids. So next derived lipid is cholesterol, obtained by the hydrolysis of cholesterol esters. If you see the structure, it contains C27 carbon atoms, H45 OH. C27H45 OH is the structure of this cholesterol. And the basic ring system that is present is called as CPPP ring system. Cyclopentanoparahydrophenanthrin ring system. Cyclopentanoparahydrophenanthrin ring system. You can clearly see the structure of cholesterol. Third position, you have an alcohol group, OH group. Third position, you have an OH group. So that is a site for esterification. That means attachment of fatty acids to the cholesterol to form cholesterol esters. So the main important function of this cholesterol is synthesis of bile acids or bile salts. So bile acids are synthesized from cholesterol. Vitamin D2 and D3 are synthesized from cholesterol. Steroid hormones, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, all these steroidal hormones are synthesized from cholesterol. So that is the major function of cholesterol, and it is also present on the plasma membrane and play an important role in membrane fluidity. So that is about cholesterol. So next derived lipid is glycerol, trihydroxy alcohol. You can see the structure on the left side, also called as glycerin. So these are the functions of this glycerin. So glycerin can be, nitroglycerin is used as a vasodilator, and glycerol is also used in many solvents and cosmetics and preparation for the preparation of drugs, etc. So in the form of triacylglycerol yields high amount of energy in the body. So lipids are the biomolecules which will yield high amount of energy when compared to carbohydrates and proteins when they are subjected to oxidation. And fat in the body is stored in the form of triacylglycerols in adipose tissue. So glycerol in the form of triacylglycerol, it is stored in the adipose tissue. So that is the function of glycerol, another derived lipid. So now beta oxidation of fatty acids. As I mentioned, now lipids are the compounds which will yield large amount of energy when compared to carbohydrates and amino acids. Now we will see the beta oxidation of fatty acids, even chain fatty acids. And the reactions are associated with beta position carbon atom, hence it is called as beta oxidation. For every cycle of beta oxidation, one acetyl-CoA is released and it will enter the Krebs cycle to produce the ATP molecules. So in the previous classes we have seen the Krebs cycle and electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation and how ATP is generated from NADH2 and FADH2. So here also acetyl-CoA is formed for each cycle of beta oxidation, and two carbon atoms are removed from the fatty acid chain in the form of acetyl-CoA. That acetyl-CoA will enter the Krebs cycle and produce the energy via electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. Anyway, the first step that is involved in the process of beta oxidation occurs in the cytosol, and it is called as activation step, where the fatty acid is converted into fatty acyl-CoA. It's converted into fatty acyl-CoA. And the enzyme involved in this reaction is acyl-CoA synthetase, which utilizes acyl-CoA and two molecules of ATP. That means ATP will be converted into ADP, ADP will be converted into AMP. So two high energy phosphates are utilized in this reaction to transfer acyl group onto fatty acid and conversion of fatty acid to fatty acyl-CoA. So this is called as activation step. Now this fatty acid involves in the process of beta oxidation, which occurs in the mitochondrial matrix. So all the enzymes necessary for the process of beta oxidation are present in the mitochondrial matrix. So mitochondrial matrix is the site for the process of beta oxidation, but the initiation of beta oxidation, that is the activation step that will take place in the cytosol. So fatty acid is converted now into fatty acyl-CoA. For example, if it is palmitic acid, 16 carbon chain containing palmitic acid, it is called as palmitoyl acyl-CoA. Palmitoyl acyl-CoA. Now this palmitoyl acyl-CoA from the cytosol, it has to enter the mitochondrial matrix for the rest of the reactions for the process of beta oxidation. So this is inner mitochondrial membrane. The acyl fatty acid acyl-CoA has to be transported into the inner mitochondrial membrane, that is mitochondrial matrix, for the process of beta oxidation. So carnitine transport system, it is a mechanism in which the fatty acyl-CoA that is formed in the cytosol will be transported into inner mitochondrial membrane. That means mitochondrial matrix with the help of a protein called as carnitine. And the system is called as carnitine transport system. So here you can see the acyl-CoA, fatty acyl-CoA. Carnitine combines with fatty acyl-CoA to form acyl-carnitine. That acyl-carnitine now will bring the fatty acid inside the mitochondrial matrix, where carnitine acyl transferase 2 will remove the carnitine from acyl-carnitine, and an acyl group is transferred again onto fatty acid to convert it into acyl-CoA, fatty acyl-CoA, and the carnitine will go back into the cytosol. So this is the mechanism. Carnitine acyl transferase will combine carnitine with fatty acyl-CoA, and carnitine acyl transferase 2 will divide carnitine from fatty acyl-carnitine, fatty acyl-carnitine. So the carnitine, the main function of carnitine is transport of this fatty acyl-CoA from cytosol to mitochondrial matrix. So after the process of transport, now the fatty acyl-CoA is inside the mitochondrial matrix for the remaining reactions to occur. So as I mentioned, if it is a palmitoyl-CoA, you can clearly see the palmitoyl acyl-CoA is ready for the beta oxidation that is taking place in the mitochondrial matrix. So first step is, so as I mentioned, it is a beta oxidation. All the reactions are associated with beta carbon atom only. Beta carbon atom only. So the carbon atom that is present attached to the functional group is alpha, and the adjacent carbon atom will be the beta carbon atom, and all the reactions will be taking place only on the alpha and beta carbon atom. So finally, where two carbon atoms are removed in the form of acetyl-CoA. So the first step is palmitoyl-CoA is converted into alpha beta unsaturated acyl-CoA. Alpha beta unsaturated acyl-CoA. That means trans delta enol-CoA. It is also called as trans delta enol-CoA, and the enzyme is acyl-CoA dehydrogenase, which utilizes FAD and transfers two hydrogens which are present in alpha and beta carbon atoms onto FAD, converting it into FADH2. So you can clearly see alpha beta carbon atom will donate two hydrogens to FAD, where it will be converted into FADH2, and a double bond is formed between alpha and beta carbon atom. This is called as alpha beta unsaturated acyl-CoA or trans delta to enol-CoA. Now a water molecule is added at this alpha and beta position with the help of an enzyme called as enol-CoA hydratase, where OH is added to beta carbon atom and a hydrogen is added to alpha carbon atom. Then it will be beta hydroxy acyl-CoA. Then it will be beta hydroxy acyl-CoA. You can clearly see there. And water molecule is added to double bond. So OH group to beta carbon atom and hydrogen to alpha carbon atom. Then it is called as beta hydroxy acyl-CoA. Now beta hydroxy acyl-CoA dehydrogenase will transfer two hydrogens from the beta carbon atom onto NAD, converting it into NADH2, and a beta keto acyl-CoA will be formed. Beta keto acyl-CoA. Since two hydrogens are removed, only keto group is present. Beta-keto acyl-CoA. It is called as beta-keto acyl-CoA. Now, acyl-CoA acetyl transferase, also called as thiolase, will transfer an acyl group. Also called as thiolase, will transport an acyl group, and the remaining portion, that means 2 carbon containing portion. So COAS will be added to C14 fatty acid length, and a H group is added to the beta carbon atom. Then it will be removed as acetyl-CoA, CH3C double bond by SOA, and the remaining part will be C14 carbon containing acyl-CoA. Now the C14 carbon containing acyl-CoA will undergo another round of beta oxidation. Like that, you can see on the right top, C14 will be converted into C12, 12 to 10 carbon atom, 10 to 8, 8 to 6, 6 to 4, finally 2 carbon containing acetyl-CoA. So for each round of beta oxidation, one acetyl-CoA is formed. Since you are taking palmitic acid, 16 carbon containing fatty acid, 7 rounds of beta oxidation will occur. So for the last round, 4 carbon atoms will be there. One round beta oxidation will produce 2 acetyl-CoA. You can clearly see there, C4 is producing 2 acetyl-CoA molecules. That means 7 rounds of beta oxidation is enough for converting C16 carbon to 8 acetyl-CoA. C16 carbon containing fatty acid to 8 acetyl-CoA. So complete beta oxidation of palmitic acid, C16 carbon containing fatty acid will lead 8 acetyl-CoA, 7 rounds of beta oxidation, 7 rounds, 7 into 7 rounds means for each round 1 NADH, 1 FADH2 is formed. 7 rounds means 7 NADH2, 7 FADH2 are formed, and 8 acetyl-CoA are formed. Based on this, you can calculate the amount of ATP produced by one complete oxidation of palmitic acid. So take 1.5 ATP for FADH2 and 2.5 ATP for NADH2, and each acetyl-CoA, if it enters Krebs cycle, that calculation I have mentioned previously, you can calculate in Krebs cycle. So total NADH2 and FADH2 you can calculate, and the amount of ATP produced is calculate. It will be more than 100, it will be around 109. And don't forget to remove 2 ATP molecules, because they are utilized in the activation step. You can clearly see 1 ATP is converted into AMP. So 2 ATP equivalence energy is utilized here, that has to be removed for the final calculation of ATP molecules. It will come around 111 ATP molecules minus 2, that means around 109 ATP molecules are produced for complete oxidation of palmitic acid. So that amount of energy is more than oxidation of glucose or any other amino acid. So that is why lipids yield more amount of energy when compared to other biomolecules when they are completely oxidized. So that is beta oxidation of fatty acids. So that is lipids classification and beta oxidation of fatty acids. Thank you for patiently listening about the topic.